My dad smashed my PS5, so I smashed his wife.
I am aware that Lady Nagant's release is tomorrow. Am I hyped? Yes. Do I give a shit? No. Because I'm working on this video, and I will get to her whenever I do. Anyways, that being said, on to the video. So let's talk a little bit about Strike Dabi. Back in Season 5 during his release, this character was on top of the world, being the most annoying piece of shit you could ever face, along with Mirio. To put things simply, he shredded your entire existence with one move, and it was just not fair. And also, you basically died if you recovered too early against him, which was even worse. And on top of all that, the move that shredded you was almost undodgeable. But enough dwelling on the past. How strong is this character now? Well, I'm going to answer that today. And today we'll finally know, is Toya Todoroki strong enough to beat Endeavor? Alright, so to start things off, we have Flames of Resentment, a move that allows Dabi to fire multiple pillars of fire at his opponents that do very minimal knockdown, leading up for betas up close. Also, this move is one of the very few alphas in the game that cannot be used in the air, so you have to be on the ground in order to use this. And if you use in the air... One second. Let me get this civilian out of the way real quick.
Looks like somebody forgot to pay their taxes. Sucks to suck, I commit tax fraud.
Anyways, as I was saying, whenever you use this move midair, you get thrusted to the ground and then you fire the pillars. Also, while holding this move midair, you can get free flight, allowing you to dodge any move that is strictly on the ground or just to move for just a little bit of time. It's not great, but it's something. Also, whenever you hold this move all the way, or whenever you see your hands light up more, you get 5 pillars instead of 3, but it takes 2 charges of your alpha instead of just 1. Also, this move can pass through multiple opponents, letting you get pressure on multiple foes at once. And now that we have covered everything of the alpha, we are going to go into the beta, called Scorching Admonition. This move lets Dabi hug his opponents and do a lot of damage to their GP or HP before hard knocking them onto the ground. This is also this character's only form of vertical or horizontal movement, and it is trash, to say the least. But what it lacks in movement, it makes up for in sheer raw power and relative versatility. Dabi can use his melee along with his beta to do a lot of damage to his opponents very, very quickly. Though do keep in mind, these combos are not true, more of setups that you can possibly get from meleeing somebody. Also, both of your betas work really well in conjunction with each other, because if somebody recovers early after the first one, you get to start digging in their butt, twin. What? Too far? And lastly, we have special action, Unquenchable Flame. Whenever Dabi gets downed, he can use his special action to pick himself back up instantly. And on top of this, he makes a small little barrier around him that protects him from projectiles. However, problem with this move is that nobody's ever going to let you use this. The moment you get downed, they are going to focus you until you are gone for good. So how should one play Strike Dabi? Because of his abysmal movement and very, very limited damage options, you should honestly be playing more around building, sneaking in and out with your alpha, and occasionally going in with your beta whenever you can get close enough. Also, I highly recommend getting wall run with this character because he is next to useless. What's something he already is without it? Though, don't let that be a downer. You can play this character really well if you can somehow work around those prominent flaws. Now go on, set out, and destroy Endy Todoroki. Oh, you thought we were done? No. We haven't even gotten to the best part yet. But, right quick, let me ask you a question. Are you tired of being calm? Don't you just want to go ape shit? Alright, now that I have your attention, let's focus on Crazy Torch, Red Dabi's Gamma. If you pay close attention to the bottom left of the screen, you'll notice that my HP is draining. However, in exchange for draining of HP, I gain an increased movement speed and damage boost. This movement speed increase is amplified by Wall Runner, especially when it comes to your vertical jumps. And every other move in his arsenal has been buffed to an incredible degree. However, we will get to those here in a moment. Gamma itself is actually an AoE-based move that spawns small AoE attacks that do minimal damage to opponents. However, paired with other moves, they can do a lot more. These small Gamma bursts spawn rate is every 15%. However, whenever you're hit by moves, this spawn rate is decreased depending on how much damage you take and how long the move lasts. But the big question is, what do these little bursts do? Well, these are actually what is called a counter-offensive ability. And a counter-offensive ability defends you by attacking for you. Now, at long ranges, these little bursts are useless because they can't defend you from anything. However, at close range, these can stop melee options from your opponents and lead for follow-ups. Now, it's more of a get off me in terms of counter-offensive because you're not actually going to be able to follow up with anything unless you have a setup in mind for afterwards. And also, whenever Gamma reaches 0, what happens is, well, I like to call it busting all over your opponents. Alright, to be honest, what were y'all expecting? Y'all knew a horny joke was coming soon. Anyways, after gently releasing all over your opponent's face, your Gamma ends. And then you have to wait for it to recharge in order to use it again. Also, this gargantuan explosion can down and damage multiple opponents at once, so use it in a crowd, I'd recommend. And no, for anybody wondering, you cannot die from using this move or from the damage over time that comes with it. If this move happens to end or you deactivate and then use it again, you will just not take damage, and you will stay at 1. And now we'll finally get to Alpha and Beta and their changes with Gamma. Alpha is now a supercharged version of itself that has more damage but also has increased knockdown, so it's recommended you do 2 Alphas into a Beta for maximum damage. However, Alpha now comes with the downside of always taking 2 bullets whenever you fire it, regardless of if you charge it or not. So just to be safe rather than sorry, make sure you have good resource management with this move or you're going to be out of anything to shoot. Beta is now a full-on lunge that has a minor damage increase, but is able to cover much more distance to snag your opponents. Also, by timing this move with a Gamma explosion, you can get a guaranteed guard break with just your Beta. Also, those melee combos I mentioned earlier become true, and now with your overpowered Beta, oh, right. This move is the jankiest move in the entire game because sometimes it'll just straight up miss or you'll be stuck to your opponent as they're moving and not do anything. But whenever this move is trying not to straight up die, it does extremely well, allowing you for so much damage and so much potential for combos. With your team at least. Also, Beta can be paired into Gamma if you time it right, making for even more damage than you would be able to usually. So how should you play Strike Dabi? Well, to be honest, you should be up in your opponent's business as much as possible. But whenever you do get close, you need to try and use your Alpha, and if you can't do that, then just go for Beta. That's really it. This character is extremely simple to learn and master. There's no real mastery to this character, actually, now that I think about it. So, final thoughts on Strike Dabi. This is one of the most brain-dead characters in the entire game. He's good for if you want to shut your brain off and just get ranked or something done, but beyond that, I would not recommend playing him for an actual main, because you are not going to be looked up highly. But, to be honest, I don't care who you play. I'm just here to provide information and a touch of entertainment for you. And I hope you all enjoy my videos. I really put a lot of effort into them. And if it doesn't kill you, I would appreciate a like and sub, and I will see you all in the next video. But in the meantime, stay tuned, one and all.